The Patreon pick this week, as requested by our Patreon Jay, thank you for the request, was the 1993 film Demolition Man. And if you also want to get your movie in our queue to be watched at some point, then go to guapish.com/Patreon or patreon.com/Guapish. $1 a month, get your movie in the queue and we'll get to it, just like Jay. And this is the movie about Demolition Man. Basically, it's some cop that gets frozen cryogenically. Like 25 years later in the future, I think, him and some other guy that he had caught get unfrozen because one of them's a bad guy and he starts committing nefariousness and he has to just go and get him in a society that has adapted a lot since then.
Fun fact, Wesley Snipes, who is a very legit black belt, was told to throw his punches and kicks slower because they were blurring on camera from how quick he could do it.
Holy smokes. Nico?
God damn, I was muted. That's a good fun fact, Tanner. Good job.
Fantastic.
They had a Dragon Ball scenario. Anyway, what are we rating this thing?
I'm gonna be going with an A- for this one.
Wow. I'm genuinely shocked you liked it that much.
It was a good action film. They really just don't make action movies like this anymore. They genuinely don't. They're all fucking like garbage this nowadays.
Yeah, coming off of last week's reviews, I guess I could agree.
Shockingly enough, I'm slightly below you at a B+.
Ooh.
Personally, I'm just at a flat B.
Oh, I gave this an A+, personally. I really like this movie. I love movies that utilize their practical effects as much as they can. I just think the 90s had a really good grasp on practical effects. What can I say? I mean, it's not just the 90s, but for the most part, a lot of 90s movies had a pretty good idea of it. Yeah, the acting was really good. This isn't a blow at the movie. What kind of punishment is cryogenically... well, I guess I can kind of think of a few, but what kind of a punishment is cryogenically freezing somebody as a form of imprisonment, besides all of their loved ones being dead when they get unfrozen?
I guess that's the punishment. To be fair, they also mentioned they reprogram them while they're in there.
But it also just sounded like that was a very minor part of it, too. I mean, obviously, for our main antagonist, he was, like, 100% programmed to be, like, this fucking jack of all terrorist trades or something, and like our main guy got programmed to be a seamstress, but other than that, it didn't really seem like it was that big of a deal. But I don't know, I think this movie's fun. Quick question for the audience here, and for the audience, you know, obviously being you guys, would you guys live in this future society?
No.
I'd imagine the answer for Tanner is also no meat,
no
procreation. Yeah, that's
this is terrible. This society is terrible. What's really funny too is this leads into one of my points is that this movie is incredibly relevant today.
Yes, I know.
To an insane degree. Like the fucking cops asking an AI what they should be doing is genuinely what so many people are doing nowadays with like ChatGPT. It's fucking crazy,
dude. And
yeah.
I made that one-off comment and Tanner was confused by it when I was like, how can this movie be base and not base at the same time? It was something about... oh no, I can't even remember. It was like when they said like what was allowed and what wasn't allowed. It was like abortions and like all that stuff. And there's something mixed in there, but regardless, I think this movie's silly. I like how they kind of kept up the bit where it's like every time somebody swore, they got like tickets or whatever.
Yeah, they were very
slips.
consistent with that too. Like they wouldn't even like always like draw attention to it. You just like hear the buzzing in the background each time someone swore. It's very fun. That's definitely one of my favorite things about this film is just like the future setting which they create is very funny.
Yeah, it's one of the wackiest futures I've ever seen. I'm like, none of this, like they give the effort to make it seem like they're trying to make it make sense, and still you're like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah. There's like the whole swearing thing, like the most popular radio station just being fucking commercial jingles from many years ago. The fact that Taco Bell or an R-Cut, Pizza Hut is like the only restaurant that exists anymore and shit like that.
Yeah.
The fact that the clothing of like the public drew a lot of attention, especially like the mayor and them, they're just wearing kimonos.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
I was just gonna say, all around a pretty enjoyable movie. I like how the woman, was it Sandra Bullock? I like how she was trying to relate to Demolition Man at every avenue, and she's just fucking up these lines all the time, and she's like, and I don't know, there's just so many like lines wrong, like where the part where they go back to like, oh, you want to see the room? And she's like, do you want to have sex? I'm like, that's so forward. What? I thought having babies without a sex license or something was illegal. And then she's like, yeah, we have sex via virtual reality or whatever the fuck that was. I was like, huh. And that's when I started thinking, would any of us want to live in this society? And, yeah, this sounds absolutely awful. I do believe that, there is such thing as too much control and, rules. And this movie is such a good example of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. This is a very funny movie. It's got pretty solid action as well. I think it's very funny they just call him the Demolition Man. That's just a hilarious nickname for a cop. Yeah, both of our leads, Wesley Snipes and Sylvester Stallone, are very good in this. I think Wesley Snipes is he's a very fun villain. And then Sylvester Stallone, I thought he was pretty good in this. Specifically that scene where he's eating the rat burger. He just has a perfect comedic, like, blank expression where he's still chewing. And I'm like, dude, this is genuinely some of the best acting I've seen from him. And it actually got me to laugh out loud.
Yeah, he makes a very great straight man in this film.
I was gonna say, in regards to that too, it's just like, we know it's not a rat burger, but like, in that instant, you really just believe he's eating a rat burger. Like, it's so good on his face. One thing I really appreciate about these movies that I was saying earlier too is, in terms of practical effects, specifically like the cars, like they somehow made these futuristic cars and they didn't have to, like, there's no CGI. They just were like, this is what we think cars in the future would look like. And all it takes is just some, like, they just take a car, they take, like, not the chassis off, but they strip it down and they put whatever they want on the outside. Same with, like, the environment,
They honestly
too.
weren't even that far off.
Yeah, no, the cars were really, like, practically looking.
Yeah, I was looking at a lot of cars there. I'm like, that's basically what's coming out now, to be honest.
Yeah, and then there's, like, this is what, like, a future society, like, obviously we know they have to go to, like, locales and, like, divvy them up so they look like a futuristic society. But that's also, like I said, that's what I appreciate about these movies, because they can just pull it off, and I could look at this and I'd be like, okay, I can understand how this is a futuristic setting for this time. And it's just, like, I look at some of the new movies and they do it with CGI and it's like, yeah, the CGI is fine, but like, where did the practicality go?
I also think it's very funny, their interpretation of like their near future before he gets frozen, where it's just like, I guess the LA riots continue to get worse and worse to the point that people are literally taking over the city.
Yeah.
I did think it only helped to support the plot, so it's not necessarily a plot hole. I did think it was kind of funny that they just had a museum with loaded weaponry in it, just because nobody in the society is gonna use it, but you have this one guy who just comes along and is like, loads a fucking medieval cannon to shoot through the door, loads up all these fucking guns and shotguns and shit, finds a futuristic laser weapon, and that was like the one part that got me. I was like, surely this weapon isn't so far in the past. And they're like, well, if they're a society that's like in their like time of peace, I guess it would make sense that they would consider this weapon history, I guess. But yeah, solid movie. I really liked. I don't really think there's too much I can complain about this movie.
My one big negative, which like, it's just kind of the nature of this film, is it's very simplistic. There is pretty much nothing underneath the surface here for you to like analyze or grasp onto. But like, again, that's not a huge complaint, just because, like, it's a sci-fi action comedy. I don't need to, be looking for allegories to the Odyssey or something in this.
Yeah.
It's an action comedy. I think the biggest thing this movie has going for it, and why I thought a lot of the comedy worked, is that it's just pretty subtle with it. You guys mentioned it with the background thing going on when they curse. They just don't bring attention to a lot of the jokes they're making, which I appreciate a lot. It feels like we're watching an action movie with comedy elements and not like a comedy movie with action elements, which I can appreciate. And it was just genuinely funny too. Like the main bad guy, the way he just deals with all the situations very straightforwardly, I found entertaining. I just think the interaction with like the New World and just the New World setup in general is fun and well executed. I don't have any like major negatives. I wasn't crazy about the final action scene. You guys said you liked the action scenes. I wasn't super crazy about them, to be honest. It's just, it's just a stupid, dumb comedy action movie that's funny.
Yeah, the action was generally pretty good. It was like during the final act, though, is where I was starting to, it felt like it was starting to lose a bit of steam, though.
Yeah. Dude, the fact that he kicks his fucking head off at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, oh my gosh,
That deeply shocked me. I was like, whoa, I was not expecting that in this movie.
Yeah, I definitely thought they were just gonna be like, he's frozen now. Now we'll just like reprogram him or like, I don't know, shut him away forever or something. Like maybe sequel bait there. But no, they just fucking kick his head off and explodes.
Yeah.
Good ending, though. Good ending.
Yeah, pretty solid.
The good ending.
Alright, boys, we have much else to say about Demolition Man?
No.
Oh yeah, no, I do have one thing to say. The whole subplot of there being like a city underneath the city, I don't understand what's stopping these people from just taking back the city. Like, the people above, they don't even know the most basic things about combat and things. They don't have weapons of really any effectiveness. And the people down there have guns, clearly. Yeah. And they know a lot more about the situation. They're more combat trained. They're more hardy. What's stopping these people? They just needed a fucking motivator, I guess?
I kind of just presume it's just there's so much fewer of them.
Yeah.
I kind of saw it as maybe they didn't want to solve their problems through violence. Like, they didn't want to have to kill people or whatever to get their way, because that would make them lower than the people that they were underneath, ironically.
Potentially. There could be any number of reasons for it. It doesn't really go explored at all, though.
Yeah. They need a sequel of this movie that shows the society falling into shambles because they killed the guy that gave them the presumable peace, and they're just gonna have to undo all the outrageous rules. That'd be a very funny
direction for the sequel. They're like, no, actually, the underground people do fuck everything up.
Ew, I'm sticking out my B.
I'm gonna stick with my B+.
I'll chill with my A-.
And I will stick with my A+.
And I'll land at an A- overall.
Damn it.
Not too shabby.